Welcome, and so today we're going to discuss the Unified Vulnerability Detection and Management Solution from Rapid7, its Nexpose. It's going to scan networks to identify devices running on them, and we're going to use it to probe for vulnerabilities on these devices. We're going to analyze and scan the data and the various processes, and we're going to produce reports from those. And then we're going to use those reports to assess our overall network security at various levels of detail. And then we're going to mitigate any of the vulnerabilities that we find after we've ran our scans. So these vulnerability scans are of course going to identify security weaknesses at all layers of our network, our computing environment, our operating system, our databases, our applications, our files. And from this we can see various malicious programs, worms, and just overall find areas in our infrastructure that are at risk for an attack. And then, of course, we can verify our patch updates and any needed security compliance measures that we should implement. So to install the Virtual Nexpose appliance, what I've done is go to File, Open, and I have a Nexpose OVA, and I've installed it to an external hard drive so that I'm able to take the external hard drive with me and perform pen testing on various networks. You'll click on that, you'll drop down to Open Virtual Machine Format Files, and then you're going to go Open, and then what you would do if you did not already have this installed, you would now go ahead and go Import. But as stated, I've already have the Nexpose Virtual Appliance installed on this machine, so I'm going to go cancel this one. Now, as with any VM installed on VMware Workstation or Player, we're going to go ahead and power that on. It'll take a moment to start up. And when it starts up, we'll see that our default credentials, let's go ahead and log in, are going to be Nexpose for your username and Nexpose for your password. If you decide to change that, since we're based in Ubuntu, we could go ahead and do a PASWD and then change the password, but we're not going to do that. We're going to leave that as is. Now what we want to do also is go ahead and find out our IP address so that we can log into our web interface, and we're going to ifconfig F0, and we see that our IP address is 192.168.117.132. Armed with the IP, you'll want to enter Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secure, HTTPS, and 192.168.117.132 in our case, and port 3780 will be the default port that you want to use with your Nexpose. And so let's go ahead and enter. You're going to see there's a problem with the security certificate. It's a self-signed certificate, but we can go ahead and continue to the website. That's going to take us to the Nexpose Community Edition. That's what we're using in this instance. That's going to take us to our login screen, and the default credentials here are NXadmin, and the default password is NX password, I believe. I believe that's NX password. NX password, yeah. Let's. And that was correct. So here we are now in the web console of the Nexpose Community Edition. We're in the home screen. There's an asset screen. There's a vulnerabilities, there's a policies, reports, and administration. We want to stay for the moment, we want to stay in the home screen because we're going to generate a new site scan. So let's go ahead and do a create site. We previously had ran one on Blanca. Let's do one now for fait accompli. Whatever node on your network that you'd like to analyze, and we're going to do normal for that. Let's do initial scan for that. Assets, you'll need to enter the range or the name of the node. In this instance, it's 192.168.1.103 for this particular node. Now, with the Community Edition, you're limited to, I believe, 32 nodes. So we can't do, say, a Class A or a Class C or a Class A. We can't do the entire range. So we're just going to do this one node. Let's click on the authentication. If you needed to put credentials in, you can do that in here. The template that you're going to want to use, a full audit without, so here you can see your various types of scans that you can perform. Denial of service, a discovery scan, an exhaustive, a full audit, a HIPAA compliance, Linux, Red Hat, Microsoft hotfixes, payment card industry, penetration tests, web audit. We're going to perform the full audit. We're not going to run it, not going to run a web spider on it. The full audit is fairly comprehensive and exhaustive, so we're going to go ahead and use that. The engine will be the local scan engine as opposed to the Rapid7 hosted scan engine. Nothing for alerts. Now, if we wanted to, we could schedule various scans, say, every week, every day. We can have them repeat. But we're just going to run this scan. We're just going to run it. We're just going to run this scan now. What did we not select? Assets are, we've got the IP. Okay, everything looks correct. Let's go ahead and save and scan. And we're now scanning. So we've been scanning for 2 seconds. Asset discovery is in progress. Let's wait a few moments before we start to see some vulnerabilities and an actual discovery of our assets and discovery of our name, of our OS and vulnerabilities. So we're going to come back in a moment and see what we've discovered. Well, we're now seeing 9 vulnerabilities, and as with many other vulnerability scanners, our antivirus software is starting to show attacks being blocked. Now, what's interesting is these attacks are coming from the host machine that we're using to assess the other machine, fait accompli. We're actually on Blanca, and we're attempting to assess fait accompli. And you're seeing the various attacks that are being launched by Nexpose, and that are being blocked by Norton. Norton happens to be on both systems, and let's see. Again, an intrusion attempt by Blanca was being blocked. So we're seeing an ingress-egress type protection is being afforded to us. And you're also seeing the various types of attacks that are being launched. We see 9. We have identified one asset. We do have 9 vulnerabilities thus far. It has accurately identified our OS as Microsoft Windows 7 Enterprise Edition, Service Pack 1. This is after 19 minutes. The scan is still in progress, so we're going to wait a few more moments and let that complete. Alrighty, that completed just at 21 minutes. So currently our total risk score is 10,505. Fait accompli is our highest risk site. Of the two, Blanca and fait accompli, our risk factors 4,607, and fait accompli with its 10 vulnerabilities has a score of 5,898. Let's go ahead and look at those 10 vulnerabilities. And of those, they have a common vulnerability severity score. Let's see, we have six that have between a 6 and a 7.9. And then we have 5 that are between 4 and 5.9, and then we have 1 that's 0 to 1.9. Now, by skill level, the exploitable vulnerabilities by skill level, we see 1 at intermediate, 1 that would take an expert, and then 9 that are not exploitable. Alrighty. And specifically, here are our vulnerabilities. Server message block, your Samba, signing disabled. Domain controllers are going to use that to send out their group policies, or I've got a lot of Samba communications going on my network. But there's no malware in any of our vulnerabilities. And again, here's our common vulnerability severity scores from the highest to the lowest. And severity, severe, critical. The dates that they were published on. Some are quite old, and some are fairly recent. But now, what's really useful and interesting is that one or more of these exploits has been published. There's a vulnerability that's known in the exploit database. So the Apache server here, there's an error response that could expose cookies. So that has a CVE, a common vulnerability enumerator, that we could go over to the NVD and pull that up or plug it into Metasploit or Cobalt Strike or the like. And then here there's also a Metasploit module for this vulnerability. So right here we have a vulnerability that has a known Metasploit module for it that we could go ahead and plug in. So this is 1 to 10 of our 12. Let's see, the other 2. And the same with the exploit database, severe or moderate. Alrighty. Policies, anything at policies, nothing at policies for us to see. I'd like us just to go back for one moment to vulnerabilities. Let's go. I'm well aware of our VNC, and anything that's in blue, as you might imagine, is hyperlinkable. We can click to that and see what that's about. So Fixed VNC remote control service is installed, yes, and running VNC on port 5900. So remove or disable. If it is necessary, please be sure to use a well thought out, hard to crack password. That is the case. So I would say that's a non-issue, and it's something that I'm well aware of. Let's go back again to 103. And so let's see. SMB signing is disabled. OpenSSL, we've got a potential man-in-the-middle vulnerability. Let's see what that one's about. So the description, OpenSSL before this edition does not properly restrict processing of changed cipher-spec messages. That could allow a man-in-the-middle attack. Alrighty. Let's see, how would we mitigate against that? So our solution is to upgrade to OpenSSL 0.9.8ZA. So in each one of our vulnerabilities, you're going to see a mitigation. You're going to see a solution. Let's see, yeah, let's take a quick look for that Apache. Let's see what the mitigation for that is. And then you see your various references that you can get more information. And here's your mitigation. So basically upgrade to this version. So in each case, again, it will state what your solution, what your mitigation is going to be. And let's see, one more that I'd like to, yeah, well, this one, I believe we had done that one. I don't think we've done this one. And again, you see our various sources that we could go for more information. Microsoft knowledge base, we can go to the search, we can go to bug, we can go to Oval, we can go to the NVD. And again, here's our mitigations. And basically download and apply the patch from Microsoft. Alrighty. So now let's go and see how would we generate reports of the information that we've acquired. So what we want to do is go ahead and create a new report. We already have one for Blanca. Let's create a new report for fait accompli. Fait accompli. The deed is done. And what you have here, you have an audit report. You could have an executive, high-level view of security data, general results, information, statistical charts. Or you could have something more relevant for your security admins and your security personnel. It's going to give comprehensive details, discovered assets, vulnerabilities, and users. You can do your top 10 assets with the most vulnerabilities, top 10 assets by vulnerability risk. So you could use one of these templates, or there are additional templates that you can download. We're going to go ahead and use this audit report. And again, it's fait accompli. And we're going to create a report. It's a PDF. Let's go ahead and select our scan. It's going to be fait accompli. Select our scan. And fait accompli. Okay, completed successfully. Scan status. Alrighty. And we're not going to filter. And we're going to save and run the report. And now we see we now have two reports. We have fait accompli, which again has a security certificate issue because, again, we're using self-signed certificates. So that's not surprising, and we feel comfortable with continuing to the website. And here we have a fairly comprehensive report, 25 pages. Again, more than adequate for security personnel. Fait accompli was audited on this date, reported on this date. And here's our executive summary. We haven't been running scans over this long enough to have historical data, but nonetheless we do have information, very useful information. We see that it took 21 minutes. It was successful. And at a high level, we see our 10 vulnerabilities. We see the critical, severe, moderate, and our most common vulnerabilities were the server message block, or Samba, CIVS, that signing was disabled. We see that Apache issue. We see a potential backdoor due to having the VNC. That's something we're aware of. So here we see our vulnerabilities. Here are vulnerabilities in a pie chart. And scrolling down, again, our by services, vulnerabilities by services, and discovered system. It's again showing our OS, our risk factor. Didn't give us our alias there, if you'll notice. Here's our VNC again on port 5900. That's its default port. So here's a more detailed discussion of our discovered and potential vulnerabilities that we can read, go into at length. And the system doesn't allow SMB signing. We're well aware of that. So we can go ahead and save these or send them out to our team so that we can mitigate and resolve those issues. So there you have it. A brief overview and discussion of Nexpose, the vulnerability scanner from Rapid7, the good folks that have brought us Backtrack, Kali, Metasploit, and other products. The community edition is available without any expiration. There are other editions. There is a Pro edition, and there are other editions that will allow scanning of larger IP ranges. But overall, I think everyone will be very pleased with Nexpose and its feature set. And the learning curve I don't feel is too steep, and I suggest you go ahead and give Nexpose a try. Thanks for stopping by, and look forward to more exciting and hopefully illuminating videos in the future. Take good care.